Welcome back! New Year's Eve! This is the final episode of the year! Unbelievable! 2021, the year that wasn't. This is Break the Apocalypse, the last episode of the year. This is your weekly look at the hellscape that we find ourselves living in forevermore. My name is John Draper, coming to you from COVID Central in the great state of New York. And with me on this voyage through the year of the apocalypse is the Persian coxman himself, Mr. Shaheen. Shaheen, how are you?
What's up, brother? Happy New Year. Happy early ass New Year. I don't know if that's a thing we should be saying. I'm scared of 2022, honestly. I'm terrified to go into this shit, but
be afraid. Be very afraid. And of course, the pride of the Midwest. The B stands for Burley, Mr. B. O'Brien. B. O'Brien, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, although I am fucking terrified of what's to come.
Well, before we get too scared and too scared to talk, we just want to let everybody know, joining us, first of all, right off the bat, you're getting the show on New Year's Eve. It is a privilege and a pleasure to serve you on this fine holiday at the end of 2021. Oh, what a year. But a little program note, early in the program, I always let you know early is that you don't get the full show. Oh, no. The only way you get the full, unedited, uninterrupted podcast in all of its apocalyptic glory is by going to patreon.com/break the app. For the low inflation busting price of $5, you get full access to the entire catalog, every show, including bonus shows, which consist of Q&A shows made up exclusively of questions from the Patreon members. Who are these Patreon members, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of new faces in the house. We got Jose G, Caesar Campbell, Mr. Isaacs is here, Bob Fernando, Nate Tabber, Johnny Florida, Bruno Camano is here, Victor Guzman, JR, Charlie John Dunn, Digital Lizard, Mike Brown, Jay, Brandon McIntyre, Carrie Goldberg. Congratulations to you, Carrie. Sal Phoenix, Cockboy, Gary Thorpe, Vic Condor, John Henneth is with us. Nathan Explosion is here. Justin Ludwig, Anthony Alston, Terrell Thibodeau, my friend Leonard Van Dude, the Cushion Pusher, MJW Games, he's in the house. We also got Larry Trailer, Michael, my pal Randy Shepard, Joe Punches, Dirk, Jamie, Benny Cook is here. Podcast icon himself, Mr. Don Tony is here. Jarrett Maloney, Walter Villani, Darren Gatt, Cassette Classics 86, Tyler Simpson is here. Austin Red, Lou and Houston, Joseph Glasgow, Steve Shaw, Stephen Teasdale, Marquise Johns, Ruben, Anthony Jeter, Joe, Stello Eccles, my buddy Ronald Anderson, Adam Bergone, Emmanuel, my good pal Amy Foley, Jeff Lippity Lip 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 Lip, Jeff Lippity Lip Lip Lip, Jeff Lippman, JB Buff Bell, Jarek Braxton, Kevin Mathurin is here, Michael Smith, Rivers Johansson, Jude, Matt, John Bernstein, Cloudy, Joseph Morrow, Three Lays, Willie Thompson, Chris Matthews, and Cherry Jesus. And of course, we got Roxy Mike. JRev92 is with us. Texas Sal, Mark Gordon, The Purple Haze, Danny Douglas, Paul Stockwell, John Garcia, Fatty316, Richard Todd, James Gruesome, Daniel Clark, Deliverance, Christopher Kane, and the half Persian heartthrob, Mr. Truyari is in the house. I like that, the half Persian heartthrob. Let's do some plugs. A little pluggies here for you. Our pals over at Deathmatch Outlaws are here. The Drew Yari Show. He's also on Patreon. Cassette Classics 86, they're on YouTube. The Down Under Thundercast, wrestling icon and maverick in the wrestling podcasting business, Mr. Don Tony. Necromaniacs Podcast, Mike from Necromaniacs is going to be joining us a little bit later on in the program. The Inhuman Experience Podcast, Ringsiders Wrestlers on YouTube. Mo Dirk City Machine Guns, The Garden of Doom. Off the Mat, Old Guy Metalcast, funkbetty.com. Go to funkbetty.com. Get some new clothes for the new year, for the new you in 2022. Did I just give him a good jingle there? That's pretty good. MJW Games, Cherry Jesus is on YouTube. The Red River Podcast, my buddy Sam is killing it. He's just killing it lately. Bayou Geeks, that's Fatty316, my good friend there. High Marks Podcast, Midnight Mass Creature Cast, The Weekly Detour with Anthony Allison and Teddy. Of course, we got Guns and Geeks Podcast. Now, Shaheen's got Planet Mondo podcast. I believe he just recorded the first episode there. And we got B Show's Halloween 365 on YouTube. And of course, give yourself the gift of music going into 2022. Go to Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, and download my album, Too Far Along, Synthetic 16. That's me. You want to spell out that 16. Download that album. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Tell me it sucks. I don't care. It's like 20 years old. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But I actually think it's pretty good. even though it's from 2003. Now, speaking of that, we're going to talk about this real quick. We're going to be doing a little merch giveaway with our pal Kim. Kim sort of runs the Synthetic 16 merch. She runs the house. She's sort of like the Reuben Kincaid of Synthetic 16, the defunct band. Here's the deal, Patreon people. You're going to want to listen up and listen up good. You email us at breaktheapp@gmail.com. Patreon exclusive, okay? We're going to randomly select 10 Patreon members, okay? In probably the third week of January. I'll give you some time here. We'll plug it. And then what we'll do is we're going to mail you a free Synthetic 16 t-shirt. You just give us your size. And 10 winners. We're going to assign you a little ticket there. And then we're going to announce the winners on the air. That's exciting, isn't it? I think that's pretty exciting. I can tell you guys are overwhelmed with the excitement.
No, I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, and Kim's been awesome and has offered to do this for us. So,
Yes. So here's the deal. You could start sending them in now. Just say, hey, I need an XL, and it's me, Jeff Lippity Lipman. You know what I mean? He probably needs a 2X. Maybe he probably needs an XL and then like a 4XL in the sleeves for those hands.
Does he have like a medium on each arm and then like an X or a 2X?
Yeah, Jeff, I can't give you 3 shirts, one to wear and then one for each arm. But yeah, the 10 Patreon. I don't care where you live. If you got to give us a PO box, give us an address. As long as you're cool with giving us your address, you'll get a nice Synthetic 16 t-shirt, and we'll announce the winners on the air. It's going to be a fun little giveaway. But you got to be a Patreon member. And the best way to do that is by going to patreon.com/breaktheapp. Again, $5. You get a ton of stuff for $5. Ton of stuff. So again, Patreon members will know if you're obviously a Patreon member. But if you're just joining up, make sure you send us an email. Go, hey, man, I want one of those fucking Synthetic 16 t-shirts. All the cool kids are wearing them. Trust me. Right, Bisho?
I wore mine yesterday, so
wow, look at that. Shaheen, when you're cruising the ladies, do you throw the Synthetic 16 t-shirt on and go, hey, what's up?
You know what's fucked up? I bought I think I bought an X large at the show, and now I wear like mediums. So like I swim in this shit.
Swimming in it, yeah.
I swim in it.
Yeah, don't wear that when you're going out on the prowl. I don't think that's gonna be.
No, I'm gonna look like a fucking hobo, man.
Yeah,
crazy.
So do that. We're excited to do that for you. I gotta thank Kim. She's sort of running the show there. And look, I don't know. There might be another show next year. I think I discovered a mulligan in my synopsis here of saying I would never play again, which we'll discuss in the new year. Which is, as you're listening to this, it could be in like minutes from now, hours from now. So, but before we get into something a little heavy, I just want to thank you guys for this year, boy. We're going to talk about the year. We're going to talk with Mike from Necromaniacs about the year and things like horror movies and entertainment, music, and COVID. But we want to talk a little bit. We got some bad news this week. I'm going to let Shah talk about it a little bit more in detail. But some people might be aware of this. Deathmatch wrestler Marcus Crane passed away. He was a young guy. He was pretty well known in the deathmatch community. I'm going to just give Shaheen some time here to talk a little bit because he knew Marcus personally. So, Shah, if you just want to let people know, I'm sure most people are aware, but maybe they're not.
Yeah, obviously, if you're I know a lot of people watch GCW and are kind of involved with the deathmatch community on the show. So I know a lot of people already know he passed away a few days ago, but rest in peace to Marcus Crane. Obviously, first and foremost, I can't say this is surprising to me, as sad as it is. And from what I hear, it's not like from what people would expect it to be, but you also can't take away, years and years of just harming your body and drug use, because he openly used drugs. I mean, he would sniff cocaine in the middle of a match, and he almost took pride in that lifestyle, like he was really about that life. And I saw it firsthand. I would see it, when I would go backstage sometimes, and he was like the first guy that was really open with that, as far as I was around, and that kind of became like almost like culturally accepted in wrestling. And honestly, I think this should be an eye-opener for deathmatch wrestling, man. We've lost a lot of people in that community, more so back in the day during like the CZW Zandig era, Deranged, all those type of guys, Brain Damage, Trent Acid, there's a ton of people that lost their lives like that.
Oh, yeah, a lot, man.
During that time, the locker room and the lifestyle was different, though. I think seeing, the pills and all this other hard drugs come back and just be really accept it and almost become like a gimmick of somebody. It's kind of gross, man. Like because I saw this coming. Like I've had several conversations with people where I told them, I was like, yo, man, I'm going to hate making that post one day. And there's several other people that are still in that community that I still say, yo, I'm dreading making that post, because there's people that are alive that I'm way closer to that have the same fucking demons. And I know eventually I'm probably going to have to make that post, you know? With Crane, it hit me, it caught me off guard because he was very, very nice to me. Like, he was very supportive of my art. You know what I mean? Like, he would come to my table. He would talk to me for 25, 30 minutes. You know, he'd have a beer with me outside. Always went out of his way to say hello. Like, he was super fucking nice to me. And him and I had a huge, you know, fallout during like the COVID time and like the Trump time and all that stuff. And I guess I don't mind sharing it now. You know, it's not going to matter. He put a post up about, like, he was really against Trump, and he was like,
yeah, I know,
he was like way over the top, you know, like it became his lifestyle, you know, it really became his identity. Like, you couldn't say anything, you couldn't disagree on the smallest thing. And this is coming from like, dude, like, I'm a minority, you know, like I haven't, you know, if anybody understands, it's me, man. And he put a post up where he was like, if there's anybody on my friends list that's, you know, into Trump and all that stuff, let me know so I can delete you right now. And one of his, like, the guys that he really co-signs was really into the Trump shit. So I tagged the dude in there, and he thought that I was like saying that I'm a Trump guy.
I remember
he attacked me and started like flipping out, like in my DMs. Like, he left me several voice messages like, yo, how fucking dare you? Like, you know, I'm so disappointed. I thought, and I could tell he was not in the best, you know, state of mind. Like, he didn't seem like he was sober. Because I would leave a message. I'm like, bro, like, read what I said again. You're misunderstanding what the fuck I said. I'm clearly not a Trump supporter. Like, go on my fucking Facebook. Like, you're making shit up in your head, and you're blowing this out of proportion. And I remember this is right when Danny Havoc took his own life, actually. And he was really close with Danny. And that shit hit him hard. And he hit me up and he was like, yo, man, like, I'm literally to the point, like, I want to off myself. Like, leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I hit up Brett, you know, from GCW, and I was like, yo, man, like, you're closer with him. Like, he's clearly mad at me. I can't talk to him, but hit him up. Like, hit him up. Like, he's in a bad spot. He's telling me literally right now, like, he's, you know, he's in a really fucking bad spot. Somebody should reach out to him. And several people did reach out to him. Like,
now, Shah, was this before or after he was in the hospital for like months?
This is before.
Right?
This is before.
Didn't he have brain damage?
He did. He had a staple. Yeah. He had a staple in his forehead that I guess they never took out. Like, it was stuck in his fucking head, and it caused a brain infection. And they had to literally like open his scalp up, and he had to learn how to walk and read again.
Yeah, he was like convalescent for months in a hospital. Do you guys remember that? I remember that.
Yeah, he couldn't talk. He had to learn English again.
Yeah, he had to learn how to speak. That's, you know, my whole relationship with him, which wasn't really a real relationship, was really through you. And I know a lot of these guys through you, and they co-sign me because of you. But then he started getting crazy with you. And then I remember talking, I don't need to be disrespectful, but I remember just getting mad about this. And I think I talked to you about it, and I definitely talked to Numbers about it. Because I remember going, you know, because I was like, what's with these deathmatch guys that like take staples in their fucking nutsacks that think they have like, I don't know. I just think it's weird. Like, I just think if you're a druggie who's like covered in like, you know, death metal tattoos and taking staples in your balls, that I don't know that I take moral high ground with people. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird. It would be like if Gigi Allen was alive today talking to people about like, you know, literacy groups or something. Like, I just think like there's something happened with deathmatch guys. And I don't know a lot about death matches. So we're going to make this a very brief conversation. But when I think of deathmatch guys, I think of crazy guys like, you know, who are like punk or metal, who don't give a fuck, but are like fun guys. Like, you got to be a fun guy. Because I remember the band Lucky 13. What the fuck? The band from Philly. Well, the Jay knows them. Schlack knows them.
Eat the Turnbuckle?
Well, they predate Eat the Turnbuckle.
Oh,
Bad Luck 13. Yeah. Bad Luck 13. Like, those guys were fun guys. Like, they were like funny. They were hitting each other with light tubes and, you know, doing all this shit long before GCW or any of this other stuff, even long before like CZW. And it's just like, they weren't like Marcus was a dude like covered in tattoos, stapling things to himself, doing coke in matches, literally doing blow in matches. And then, you know, speaking to people about morals and all this other about like political. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to take anything you say seriously. You take staples to your balls. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're not Tolstoy, you're not, Jack Kerouac. You're a guy who takes staples to his balls for $30. Like, don't try to, that's my thing with the deathmatch dudes. And again, I'm not saying that just because you take staples to your balls, you should be like a good time Sally 24/7. But I'll take political advice or philosophical advice from people who are like maybe a little bit more well respected. You know what I'm saying, Sean? It's like I can't co-sign these deathmatch guys acting like moral police.
Yeah, but you've never been around it though. That's why. Because like if you actually got to know Crane and guys like Danny Havoc, like if you got to know Danny Havoc and even like look at Sick Mondo, like he could fucking write literally he could write books.
Oh no, but you're misinterpreting.
I'm
not saying that they're not intelligent. I'm saying that
their lifestyle, the
lifestyle does the drapes don't match the carpet. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I'm not gonna get into like a 4-hour conversation about, European politics or a capitalization with guys that do coke in the middle of the ring and hit each other with light tubes. Like, yeah, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of woke people in that drug scene now.
It's weird, dude.
I see it all the time. Yeah, I see that at wrestling shows.
It's a weird vibe, dude. I'm just saying, look, for me, that's a weird vibe. Yeah. I'm just saying that's like, I would expect people who do that, who literally shove light tubes up their ass and then throw themselves on the floor to break it, to be more accepting and not give a shit about people's like, for them to play identity politics on social media is a weird flex, dude. I'm sorry. It's a weird flex. It's just weird for me to co-sign. And I didn't know about a lot of that stuff until you and like Numbers kind of broke that down for me. But I remember he did that to you. And I was just like, well, and I was friends with him on Facebook through you. I know all these people I know literally either through you or through Joe Numbers, mostly through you. So, but I always kept that to myself. And even now, I'm not trying to shit on the guy. I'm just saying that like, you expect me to take your politics seriously or to like you're playing identity politics. Like 90% of the populace wouldn't want to even sit next to you on a train car with what you do for a living, let alone,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take a shit on the guy. He's dead.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the scene. I'm not talking about the person.
Yeah, I mean, the whole scene is getting weird because it's getting more woke now than ever.
Yeah,
and it's
weird.
It is a weird vibe because like I was just actually talking about Howell in New Jersey when GCW first started. I mean, I remember like the parking lot was like a fucking coke party. You know what I mean? Like it was different.
But that's what I'm saying. Like most people would be very turned up. Like that's a problem for people.
Yeah, but
like,
that's changed though. Nowadays, if you go there, it's like hipsters. It's like you can't do shit like that now. Right. It's only a certain few that can.
Right. But these guys are still living that way because they're still dying. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, look, if you're gonna be that guy, then be that guy. Don't be that guy. Then turn around and be like, the problem with capitalism and Western democracy, it's like, dude, are you fucking serious? Like, I literally just saw you pull a thumbtack out of your penis hole. It's like, I'm not having that conversation with you. You're not.
Well, what about punks? Wasn't like punk rock very political at one point?
I guess, well, punk rock is a blanket term now. You got mall punk. People think punk is Blink-182 and Green Day, but punks, but I mean, the true nature of a punk is, I would say, probably no politics. I would say no, all politics is bad politics. You know what I mean? Like that's the true nature of it. It's like, fuck you and your politics.
Like, or even like Rage Against the Machine, like they're political, but they were still like,
they're political, they're millionaires. They're political millionaires on a major label for 30 years. Like, you know what I mean? It's
they didn't start out like that. You know what I mean? There is that scene of people that still party that are woke.
Oh yeah.
I get that scene.
No, I get it too, but I just think but the majority of people who like, I just think like, if you like, there are people you show a deathmatch a video to, and they're gonna be like, this is disgusting. I don't want to know anything about this one. They're not gonna be like, what's their politics like?
Yeah, no, it terrifies people. Yeah, I remember I took my ex to and I surprised her. She thought she was going to like WWE, and she showed up, and she was like a nurse.
She thought she was getting doinked the clown.
Yeah, like she thought like we're getting like Roman Reigns and Randy
Where's
Orton.
Brutus the Barber? It's like, what's that guy gonna do with the scissors? Not what you think.
And the first thing that happened is Schlack pulls up and, he comes over and I shake his hand and I give him a hug. And she's like, and I could just tell off the vibe. She's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you know this guy? Like, what the fuck am I getting into? Yeah, he's
Jay's not like that, dude. Jay's not like that.
What do you mean? Like with
Well, he's not going on the internet.
partier?
No, Jay's not going on the internet from what
No,
I
with
can tell,
politics, no, he doesn't.
writing a
He hates
50-word,
everything.
writing 80-word paragraphs about Western democracy. Like it's
No.
just, he's
He
having a
could.
good
He's
time.
very intelligent. Like every time
Yeah.
I've sat down with him, the dude knows his history.
And it's not
Like,
a
he
sign
can-
of intelligence. I think it's
Yeah.
just, it's not intelligence. It's not an intelligentsia thing. It's just, if, like, for example, all right, let me break this down for you, right? Like, if you have somebody who buys Coke, right? I'm talking about this abstractly. I'm really in. When you buy Coke off your Coke dealer, the only thing you care about is what? The Coke, right?
Yeah, how
So
many
if you
times
want-
it's been stepped on, the quality, I
Right,
guess.
right.
Yeah.
So if you go to buy Coke from your Coke dealer and he pulls up and he's like, "So, have you watched Don't Look Up yet?" I'm a big Adam McKay fan. I don't know if you're a big Adam McKay fan, but what I really found was polarizing about this film. And you said to go, "Yo, I just want the Coke." Like, what? Why? Are we doing this? Are we really doing this right now? Like, I'm only talking to you because you have the Coke. So it's just like, I think a lot of these deathmatch guys, when they get a little weird on the internet and say, it's just like wrestling in general. It's like some of these guys don't have internet. I just think it's weird that like guys who literally like turn their back like into like I don't see Jun Kasai going in Japan and talking about the parliamentary system. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
But you had Onita that was like, he actually became a politician in Japan, though.
Well, he was a commercial success. He was a star. He wasn't a fringe guy in Japan. He was on regular.
He started out niche, though. He started out underground the same way as like TCW, because like that was a niche in Japan where that was frowned upon at first, where people were like, dude, what the fuck is this? This is a shame of Japan. Then it became,
And again, this is not a knock against Marcus, but I wasn't aware of that. And when he did that to you, he accused you of being like a Trump sympathizer or like co-signing.
it was very weird. I didn't
Trump's
understand
racism.
it.
This is a weird flex for like a
was.
30-year-old drug addict to tell a fucking an immigrant, a non-white immigrant who's literally bashing Trump 24 hours a day.
Right, which
So
is
he's
hilarious. I'm like, dude, you're
co-signing
fighting for me. I'm like, yo, you're fighting for my rights, and you think that I'm fighting against it? Like, what are you talking
Exactly.
about, bro?
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm
yeah.
on the same shit as you. Just read
Yeah.
what I commented.
And look, I didn't know he was only 33. I had no idea. It's a sad thing, and I feel bad. I thought of you like when I heard it. I reached out to Joey. I was like, it's shitty. I worry about these guys. I worry about Jay. I worry about Casanova Valentine because I like these guys. I know Cass a little bit. I know Jay a little bit through you.
I worry about Gage. That's my number.
I worry about Nick Gage.
I'm like, dude,
I think everybody worries about Nick Gage. I worry about these guys. I don't want to see bad things happen to these guys.
Isn't Gage back in rehab right now?
Is that right?
Or refused rehab, something like that?
I don't want to comment on that because I don't. It's not like Paul. I'll tell you guin off here. I don't want to comment on that because it's not like my business.
Shout out to Nick Gage. And by the way, shout out to all the people who are close with Marcus and in the really real world. I feel terrible. Like, I saw that thing happen with him and you, and then I was friends with him on Facebook through you, and then I immediately ended that. And then I hadn't thought or heard about him in a while. So it's sad. And Sha, I feel like I'm having these conversations with you once every 3 or 4 months, man.
Yeah, it's really weird. And
Honestly.
I even when it happened, I hit up Brett and I was like, man, I'm really sorry that we had this conversation a year and a half ago. That's exactly what I said to him. Because I literally, and I screenshotted the thing that I told him. I was like, yo, he needs help. This dude's in a bad spot. And again, I'm not saying how he died because I don't know how he died. But from what I hear, it's not what you think. It wasn't like an overdose from what I hear. It wasn't like anything like that. But he had his issues, man. And may he rest in peace. And if anybody's listening, if you got issues, dude, go get yourself checked out, man.
Yeah, seriously, man.
This dude lived that lifestyle, and it was not a gimmick. Like he lived like how rock stars like lived like back, and like this dude lived that like for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know, Sean, I'm sure you know a lot of people really, really hurting over this too, man.
Of course, yeah. That was like
a lot of people.
That was Schlack's like best friend, man.
Yeah. I like these guys. I don't want to give an impression. I just it's like, I don't know. I think we're in a weird place because everybody has to coast, even people who do fringe crazy shit, like whether it's like good art or like rap or like death matches or like cook cool food. And it's like, you got to know you got to know what they're about. Like, it's like, nah, dude, just do the thing that you're good at that none of us are good at,
look
Marcus
at GCW, right?
Yeah.
Look what GCW did when they first started out. They were like a deathmatch company. Now GCW has an emo show, so they cater to the emo people.
Yeah, they have a show catered after emo people.
Yeah, they have one that had all black wrestlers on there. It was for the culture.
For the culture.
That one. They
Gay?
have, like,
They have gay shows?
they have the gay show. So
Yep,
it's like,
they have
it's too
effy
much,
stuff.
man. Like,
Yeah.
you just do fucking regular wrestling and use everyone. You don't need to do
Yeah.
these extra, like, it's too much, man. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a shitty thing. It's the holidays, but rest in peace, Marcus, and, to a lot of these guys, like Shah's very close with these guys in the really real world. He's having these conversations with people. You're too young to constantly putting out. I've seen you put maybe, I'm not even trying to be a dick here. I've seen you put maybe 20 to 30 rest in peace things out since I've been your friend.
Yeah, probably. I put 3 out in the last month, man. My friend's funeral is literally tomorrow on New Year's. We have to do a virtual fucking, not even Marcus, a friend that I grew up with, like from back in the day. He actually died last year. They're doing his virtual funeral because COVID is still not over and they can't have it.
Which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Crazy.
But, it's a lot, man. Like, you should not have more dead friends than me.
I've attended more funerals than birthdays. I said that to a girl the other day and it shocked me. And I didn't realize that and I counted.
Was this before or after you were getting in there? What's going on?
No. But literally, I thought about it. I was like, fuck, that's depressing as fuck, man. That I've been.
Girl, you like funerals? Because I'm gonna kill you.
And birthdays
with this penis. B-Show, are we ready for our guest?
I think so. He's been waiting patiently.
Well, there's nothing patient about my brother. I can tell you that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Necromaniacs Podcast, you know him, you love him. We've got Mike. Mike, are you there?
What is up, everybody? Can you hear me?
What's going on? What shirt are you wearing there?
Why, I am wearing my Tim Dillon shirt.
Tim Dillon shirt. You might want to back up the camera. Everybody's just looking at your tits.
Yes.
We'll move your camera. I don't know what's going on there.
It almost looked like a cross between like a Saturday Night's Main Event and a Miami Vice.
That's what I thought
shirt.
it was.
And
Saturday.
Yes. It's got some Miami coloring. Tim loves Miami.
All right. So listen, for people that don't know, we talk about the Necromaniacs podcast a lot. We're big fans of it. We all listen. I know you get hit up by people that listen to the show, but for the people that don't listen, tell people what Necromaniacs podcast is.
Necromaniacs Podcast is a horror podcast. But unlike a lot of the horror podcasts out there, we actually talk about horror movies instead of talking about politics or nonsense.
Interesting.
And we review movies. We pick one movie and we do kind of a deep dive on it. But at the same time, we also talk about stuff we've been listening to. We're both, musicians, obviously. We talk about what we've been reading. We'll talk about other stuff we've been watching, but we primarily focus on one movie. The podcast has been around for 7 years, going on 8 years in February.
That's fucking crazy. I remember when it started. It started. And of course, your co-hosts are Mike Hill from the band Tombs.
Yep.
And Jeff, is it Crespi?
Cashade.
I'm so sorry, Jeff. Jeff, formerly of the famous band ISIS. Shaheen, not your friends, the group ISIS. This is the band ISIS, not your friends, Sean.
Yeah, I retired, man. I retired.
Not your friends. These aren't the ISIS that you. Shaheen, these are a different ISIS. This is not that ISIS.
Different ISIS. Yes. Yeah, it's cool. We kind of alternate. Mike Hill is on pretty much every episode, and then myself and Jeff alternate each week. Back in the day, we used to do 3 movies. I think we did like 4 movies. It was a very long, weird podcast initially. And then we kind of streamlined as we went along. We went down to 2 movies and then ultimately landed on, of course, 1 movie, because who the hell wants to listen to a 2.5-hour podcast? So
yeah. And I got to say, for people that haven't listened to it yet, if you haven't and you're going to check it out, I'm going to make a suggestion. Go to their year in review. What they basically do is each member of the show does their top 5 horror films of the year. They also do an honorable mention. And they just released that last week. Mm-hmm. And it was real good. Did you or B-Show get a chance to check it out yet?
Yeah, I actually checked it out yesterday. I was finishing painting. I'm actually officially done painting this fucking house, which thanks to you guys, man. I put on a lot of podcasts to just.
It looks good. The house looks good. But yeah, we got a lot of hits on the end of year episode. Did very well. Always happy to see that.
Yeah, honestly, Mike, it's the best show you guys do all year, because it encompasses, like I started 2 years ago, and I think B-Show might have started doing this too. Like, we got to ask him, but what I would do is I will watch just on the basis if it makes the top 5. B-Show, didn't you do that too? Was that last year you did that?
Yeah, because I'd hear a lot of people talking about different movies on message boards, and sometimes they were good, and sometimes I was disappointed. And then when I would hear you guys talk about movies, like you were one of the only people I had ever known that knew of The Black Room, and I know we've talked about this before.
Yes, great
And
movie.
I'm like, okay, so if these guys are talking about the top 5 movies of the year, there's a lot of other ones that still correlated as well, but like they're up my alley. You had a good track record, so I started checking them out. So I am late on that one. I've been with the kids all the past week or two, so when I get back to my grind, I'll be doing that.
All good.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Some overlap because they don't share, they don't share the info. But I really,
Right.
I like to share.
Surprise.
I don't know Jeff, Mike. I don't know Jeff, but I know Mike Hill quite a bit. He's been good. He was a very close friend of ours when we had our comic book store back in the day. It's where we became very close with him. So we've always been close with him, and he's such an interesting, unique person, Mike. I mean, he's a very interesting guy. Like he's got so much going on, in terms of being like a consummate songwriter and in a touring band, and he's also a highly intelligent person. He's just an interesting guy. I mean, he checks off a lot of cool boxes for a person to have a podcast.
And listeners, you should also check out his other podcast called Everything Went Black that comes out every Wednesday. We're every Thursday, Necromaniacs. But Everything Went Black is kind of it does a lot of music. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. It's like his own kind of agenda. So it's never movies, though. That's
because he saves that for the show. So here's the deal, people. Mike is one of my siblings, right? And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm a little under the weather. And my brother Mike last week informed me that he has COVID. That Mike is right now. He's putting COVID over the air. Mike, let everybody know about your COVID right now. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just about the end. I got tested last week. I don't know. It wasn't a huge shock. I had not been feeling good for a couple of days. A little feverish, kind of run down. I go out a lot, John, as you know.
Yeah, Mike is one of these dudes, like, how Shah, you like staying home or be like staying. My brother has to be out. He's like one of these dudes, like he's got to constantly be out. He's got to be doing some shit. So I feel like you were playing COVID roulette there for a while.
Yes, probably. Yeah. Yes.
You were playing with house money. I
dodged it for a very long time. A lot of people were those long dodgers like me. They didn't get it till now. Right. I know a bunch of people who didn't get it till December 2021. The ferryman came calling for me last week.
Yeah. Don't fear the COVID reaper. Don't fear it.
Don't fear it. I just have this cough that isn't going away. But other than that, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm just going to let people know. I found out earlier today that, I've been sick all week. So my wife is a nurse. So she's off this week. But my kids were really sick. Both my daughters today tested positive for coronavirus. One of them is quite ill. The other one is quite angry. We could not get testing where we are. We're now at a 20% positivity rate from my county. That's actually factual. I've been running 11 miles a day, possibly with coronavirus. So, and I got to tell you, if you think it's hard, you're right. It's very hard to run 11 miles at 50 with coronavirus. Mm-hmm. Been doing it. Don't ask me how. Monday, I thought I was literally dying. But tests are so scarce, I did like the old timey thing. I gave it to the kids. My wife was like, listen, we had to barter these tests like the way people would barter like pelts in like the 1700s.
It's getting weird out there.
There was no tests.
I tried to get tests last week and there was none. And then I made a trip to Walgreens because I had to pick up cough medicine from my MD who prescribed it to me. And they had a whole bunch in.
Wow.
And
you should have bought them all.
Were buying them. I know. They're $23.
Should have flipped them like a condo in South Beach.
No, I know. I bet you they're not there anymore. But the thing is, right now in Brooklyn, there was this article today. I had shared it.
Pulled it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people are like killing each other for the free ones. which they're putting it out on like city websites, these areas in certain parts of Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, and what have you. Okay, there's going to be 2,000 whatever free tests. I feel like this might not have been a good idea. What about
no, these are like concert tickets for like One Direction or something like 8 years ago. Like this is not good. So the scene we're looking at right now is Flatbush and Church Avenue, I believe, which I used to live near there actually. Flatbush and Church, not far at all. And chaos. They were giving away free COVID tests and tempers flared. Believe it or not, people, tempers flared at the free COVID test giveaway. There was some anger. COVID riots might be the thing for 20. We're going to get to the year, but Shah, Bisho, what do you think? Do you think the COVID riots could be the big thing for 2022? All the kids are doing it.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I'm gonna live my New Year's kind of like Mike. I'm gonna stop being a hermit crab. I'm coming out the house, and I think I'm like the only one. Me and my friend, like we're the only ones that I know that don't have COVID, so we can't like go anywhere. So his genius idea was like, yo, we should go to Chinatown, and we should go to this lounge that I'm pretty sure is owned by the Chinese mafia, and we should just go there because it's like
That's hot.
It's a real dirty scene. We should just go there. I was like, dude, this is probably the best idea for fucking New Year's. This is the best idea. So I don't know, man. I think the riots are coming 2022.
COVID riots?
I mean, we took most of the year off, so we're due for riots.
We did. That's right.
We did. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. B-Show, COVID riots, yay or nay for 2022?
I co-signed COVID riots. I mean, it says this is from December 24th. So Christmas Eve, this shit was going on.
Christmas Eve, people were beating each other and putting the streets for free COVID testing in Brooklyn.
Funny, man. Last week, Shaheen and I were talking about Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, them fighting over the Turbo Man. Not too dissimilar here.
You know, this part of Brooklyn, Flatbush and Church, is fairly gentrified. Like a lot of hipsters moved there, but it's nice to see old school Brooklyn people beating the shit out of each other on Christmas Eve in public. I got to say, it brings a tear to my eye. I was actually kind of, when I see these things, I miss them. I miss the Big Apple. Look, this is my New York right here. This is Brooklyn. This is Brooklyn, man. This is Brooklyn. People beating the shit out of each other for free COVID testing.
Start spreading the news.
Not giving a fuck. That's my Brooklyn. Mike, but people want the old New York back, but every time it comes back, people get upset. Why is that?
Yeah, that is true. I think it's the fantasy, like a lot of people I know who want the old New York back never even really experienced the old New York. So
it was yummers.
I think it's they saw it on television. They saw it on The Deuce or something. They saw it, in a couple of movies, but old New York is not that great. There's that new documentary on Times Square.
Oh, the serial killer in Times Square?
Yeah. Old New York, not really that
pretty hot, though. Gotta say, serial killers are so retro.
Yeah. Like this guy managed to wipe out a whole bunch of women, and probably not fun for the ladies back then. No.
Yeah. I mean, no, definitely probably not a good time. If you think it's unsafe to be a female in 2021, Times Square, 1975, 42nd Street, 8th Avenue, like you were taking your life in your own hands at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, like it was no joke. Mike, let me ask you a question, because you're native. You've never lived anywhere else but Brooklyn. You never even left the borough.
Correct.
I haven't lived there in a while, but I lived in Manhattan, as you know, on and off for a bunch of years there. Why are you still in Brooklyn? Like, why not leave?
Why am I still in Brooklyn?
Like, why not get out? Like, just get the fuck out.
I'll say this: my current neighborhood of Dyker Heights, I'll say where I live, might be my favorite in a very long time.
It's lovely. I lived there right before I moved up here. If you remember, that's where I lived. Right, my last neighborhood.
I like it a lot. It's close to Bay Ridge. I go to Bay Ridge a lot. I drink in Bay Ridge. We got our friends in Bay Ridge. So I think that's kind of what keeps me here, like the good aspects of it. I have not had to work in Manhattan in a long time because of COVID. I'm very thankful for that. And I think because of Omicron and all the other new crap, I have a funny feeling I'm not going to be back in the office maybe until
probably not
March or something. Right.
Probably
exactly.
Not. Maybe not even then.
I don't know. I mean, would I live elsewhere? Yes. Do I have immediate plans to live elsewhere?
Lovely.
No.
Look how lovely that is. By the way, that's legit Christmas lights, guys. That's what it look. The neighborhood is that people drive from like Philly and Jersey and Connecticut to look at the Christmas lights. There's a lot of old WAPs there. So these old WAPs, yeah, that's real, guys. That's real residential neighborhood. Like that's people, you can't even park near there. Like it's like a nightmare trying to get down there. I lived there for a little bit before I moved up here. Yeah, it's a lovely area. I mean, Brooklyn's Brooklyn. Brooklyn is. It's not a fun place to live when you're broke, though. That's not exactly.
No. So yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I'm a Brooklyn person. I'm a New York City person. I love New York still. Will I always love it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you and Shaheen need to think about relocating in 2022. Right, Sean?
I have to wait 2 more years. When I graduate,
that's right. You're in school. You're starting school soon.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here. But dude, as far as Mike staying in Brooklyn, I totally get that, and I'll tell you why. Anytime I get depressed, and this is the first time I'm sharing this. This is what I do, and it really helps me. I'll take a solo trip to the block that I grew up on when I first moved to America, which is 54th and Cedar. It's a terrible fucking street now.
And this is where?
This is West Philly. I originally moved to West Philly, pretty much where Will Smith is from. So
wow.
I would go to the
Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, exactly. So I would go to the corner store every morning and I would get an egg and cheese sandwich. So what I do now, the corner store is obviously changed. It's not the same, owner or anything. Everything's changed. But when I get stressed out here, I'll literally drive to that shitty ass block. I'll park up and I'll get the same shitty sandwich and I won't eat the whole fucking thing because it's terrible. And I'll sit on the stoop that I used to sit on and I'll be like, yo, I upgraded. Like life is not that bad. I should go back to the bunnies. But
I don't think that's weird. I think that look, is it serial killer-ish? Absolutely. It's a little Dexter-ish. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little
weird.
It's a little weird. That being said, it's probably very grounding. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, hey,
it humbles me. Like it makes me just shut the fuck up. I'm like, I'm bitching about I'm like, yo, my biggest problem right now is like deer like shitting in my backyard. Like I don't, it's fine.
Nice.
Right. Or getting people confused that you're talking to, like not knowing who they are.
Possibly.
B-Show, do you have an experience like that? Do you ever go back to your old like farm and put on the overalls and like put a piece of straw, hay in your mouth and walk around and listen to beer makes whiskey songs and you're like, look how far I've come with my burliness.
Jump out of the corn and sing fucking shitty songs to people. No.
And Christmas shoes.
Yeah. No, it's Christmas shoes. Jesus Christ. Let's not bring this show to a screeching halt. But no, yeah, I lived in a small, it wasn't rural where I lived. It was just like a suburb and it was a small community right off of a bay. So I wasn't a boating person. I wasn't a sailor or anything but I was always around the water, the shoreline, and there's just tons and tons of trees. And now where I live, it's an old farm field. So there's no fucking trees and there's no water around unless I take like a 30-minute drive. So sometimes I do. I mean, I lived in the same roundabout area until I was about 30 years old. So every once in a while I go back to my spot and I just kind of hang there. There's like a rocky shoreline that I used to take the kids to when they were little. We just, sit there and throw rocks in the water. So yeah, every once in a while when I get down or when I ain't in a good spot, I just go there and recalibrate. It's just, that's my spot. So it's not as dire as the situation Shaheen grew up in, but still it's like
you bring the kids over to the creek. And you the creek and you skip the rocks in the creek?
Yeah, like Andy Griffith style.
Yeah.
John and I grew up in what I consider at one point in time, probably one of the greatest neighborhoods in Brooklyn, Sheepshead Bay.
Oh, yeah, Sheepshead Bay. It's a fishing community. It's a literal fishing community.
In the 70s and 80s, like that neighborhood was amazing. It took a very big turn by the mid 90s, John.
Probably early mid-90s. Yeah.
Mid 90s.
Yeah, it was a great place to live.
People moved out in mass, basically. All the natives kind of moved out in mass to Staten Island or Jersey or Long Island.
Yeah.
And the whole neighborhood changed. And it's really kind of a shell of its former self. But it was a really great, fun area back in the day.
It was like where if you look it up, B-Show, it's like it's a fishing community. Like it's an actual bay, and it was we were walking distance. We were like 4 or 5 blocks from an actual bay with boats, and it was called Sheepshead Bay. Sheepshead Bay. Yep. Sheepshead Bay. Kind of gross now, very dirty, very grimy, just garbagey looking. But look at this. I mean, it's near like Coney Island and Brighton Beach and Manhattan Beach. But this is like where you'd walk by the bay, you'd take a walk on there. Like it was, that's what it used to look like. Don't look like that now. Now, we should also point out in the 80s, they were fishing bodies out of there from the mafia. With some of, I know, Mike, as you know, we know at least one person whose father was fished out of there. I know a second person whose father was fished out of there. But we have a family friend for many years whose father was found floating in there. So basically, like the Italians would throw bodies in there. You wouldn't want to go in there. Mike, have you ever jumped in there?
No, but it's probably cleaner now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Ever.
It would be
really
like you'd
clean.
swim past like a corpse or a full diaper, like, just like it was just like even like the crabs were trying to kill themselves to get out of that place.
Yes.
And it
true.
always
There's more
smelled
pollution.
during the summer. Remember, like it would just smell like fish all summer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is it nice
It smelled
now?
like a ripe prom date. What?
Is it nice now?
No, it's worse now. So basically, it's so much worse. So all the old like Italians and Irish that lived there sold their houses and moved to like Jersey, and Brighton Beach was becoming like a Russian enclave. Like Russian immigrants were like spilling out of Brighton Beach, and they pushed their way through into Sheepshead Bay. And with that, they brought their problems. By problems, I mean the Russian mafia. So you have like Russian like my mom's bank had like a shootout in front of it one day with Russian mobsters. It's crazy. Like the whole neighborhood sort of like became like sort of like a soft Russian mafia target type place. Like it was like they would just open these, like they'll like say like a store was like a bicycle shop for many years, and then the guy sells it to like a Russian purse shop, and there's 5 purses in there. And the sign's not in English. You're like, hey, that's weird. How could you have a store with 5 purses in it? You know what I mean? It was just like these things would just happen. It's just like then Russian gangsters just spilled, because Brighton Beach was really small and there wasn't enough room, and they just sort of spilled into Sheepshead Bay.
Accurate.
Yeah, it's fairly accurate. And it's what happens. Neighborhoods change, but in this case, it became like a Russian mafia hotspot. Like, like it was like, it became like a fancy, like Brighton Beach wasn't fancy enough. So, but Sheepshead Bay was fancy. So you have these gregarious looking condos, like close to the beach, that look like gaudy and weird. And it's just, it's just weird. I don't know. It's not.
And I have an update on that. So some of my old school Russian friends who lived in Brighton Beach for a long time, and some still do, said that the Russians are leaving, and that the people from Kazakhstan are coming.
Wait, Borat is taking over Sheepshead Bay?
Yes. No, taking over Brighton Beach.
Wow.
There's a tremendous.
It's a weird. Brooklyn's weird, man. I mean, you've been to Brooklyn like 1,000 times. You ever been to Sheepshead Bay, Sean?
Possibly. I don't know. I've gone through a lot of different places. But you know what's? Let me ask you guys this, because like, Philly and New York are kind of similar. When you guys were growing up in Brooklyn, did you grow up with a lot of people that had never literally just left Brooklyn at all?
Oh, yeah. No one ever left.
True.
We were surrounded in the 70s and 80s by people like you had a house in the Poconos. It was like, my mom's renting a place in the Poconos. It's like, oh, you guys must be rich. Like no one went to the Jersey Shore. That wasn't that kind of an area back then. You went to the Poconos. If you had a place in the Poconos or upstate, like Saugerties.
Upstate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like we have a bungalow in Saugerties. And it was like, and then it's like, oh, that must be amazing. And it's like, meanwhile, we're living in fucking 4 of us sleeping in one bedroom in a fucking 1 bathroom fucking house. And it's like this fucking knucklehead's going to Saugerties for the summer. And like I'm getting yelled at for fucking playing Nintendo.
Dude, I remember when I was in mainly West Philly, because South Philly, like it was, Broad Street, you could still get around. There was a lot of, subways. People got around. But West Philly, like I knew a lot of people that wouldn't leave the 4-block radius. Like they lived there for 20 years. I'm like, dude, you live on 52nd Street. You haven't been to 58th Street. Like what? How is that possible? We
had a first cousin who'd never ridden the subway before.
Yeah. And she lived in Brooklyn for like almost 30 years. Like she never rode the subway. It's weird, man. It's weird. Staten Island's like that. Like you meet people, like I used to work with a lot of people, like a lot of WAPs from Staten Island I used to work with. And these guineas never went anywhere but Jersey. Like they went to Jersey to work, and they did everything in Staten Island, New Jersey. They had maybe they would go to a Yankee game, you know what I mean? Or something like that. But that's it. Like they didn't have a night out for them was local, like, you know what I mean? And that's the way the world was back then. I mean, we lived on a block with like hundreds of kids. There was too many kids. Everybody had kids.
Yeah.
There was nobody like on your block that was like a dual income, no kid situation.
No, and there was block parties every summer. And
block parties.
But what saved me and John, though, honestly, was finding hardcore and going to Manhattan every Sunday. That kind of got us to out of there. You know?
Yeah. And you know, when you live
in
the suburbs of like Brooklyn or Queens or like Long Island or whatever, like going to the city, going to Manhattan is like the goal. It's like Saturday Night Fever all over again, but in a different way. It's like you just know that if you're not going to grow as a person unless you get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're just not going to grow. And then what happens is people like myself and my brother Mike, we were outgrowing our local friends because we had this whole other friendship and life in Manhattan, like on Sundays, like, you know, or like maybe a Friday night, you know, who knows, maybe a Thursday, maybe there's a Thursday night we can go to a show. And it's like you had your local friends, you had your hardcore friends there that were from all over the place. You had your grade school friends, your high school friends, your block friends. You know, Bisho, do you have a life like that? Do you have like your friends that you went to school with or you played a sport with, but then you had your friends that you lived on your block?
Yeah, because I went to a public school for grade school, and I had my friends from the neighborhood. And then we had football friends. I had my buddies that played in bands and shit we used to go to clubs with. So it's very fragmented like that, and they really didn't cross streams all that much. And it's kind of interesting that you guys talk about that as far as, you know, outgrowing your local friends is. I've got a handful of people I still talk to from back in the day, you know, very casually. But I feel like I had a similar story like through podcasting and through doing things online and finding horror movies and stuff like that, where it's like, you know, everyone around me, I never really fit in. And it's weird because I felt like a pariah here because I didn't fit in with anybody. And then I meet all you guys from the East Coast and I'm like, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so much more shit out there, even farther, you know, down the spectrum. So it's really interesting how hardcore music or art or whatever the case may be can help you transcend whatever like humble beginnings you have and avoid some of the local trappings. Because like honestly, I won't say who, but like I still have conversations that are so difficult with people, and it's like, you know, I can't cut them out of my life, but it's like I'm past that. You know, I've grown past that. So it's really interesting to hear you guys say that. It's a pretty universal thing.
It's funny. I myself developed a whole other group of friends from horror and horror conventions, and this one horror message board I used to go on called DVD Maniacs, and then it became AV Maniacs. There's about 10 people from that board that I'm Facebook friends with today, still for about 15 years. And some of them I see at the cons or I talk to them on Facebook. And I met these people, not from hardcore, not from music, from horror movies. And they're good friends of mine.
Well,
so,
but they're all parallel. Like, and Shah can tell you this too, because he has people that he knows that he used to fucking make music with. He has people probably knows he just does art with. He has people he knows from doing fucking wrestling merch from, right, Shah?
Yeah, I really went through like stages of my life. So I have like several groups of friends, and a lot of them met each other. So I have like a lot of common friends now, but they came from different chapters of my life. But I mean, people that I grew up with, I can't, there's nothing to talk about right now. You know what I mean? They're still stuck in that stage.
Yeah.
We have nothing in common. Like my love in my life right now is like my dogs. They don't give a shit about dogs. Like you know what I mean? Like they're still
cat people, for Christ's sakes.
Not even that. They just don't give a fuck about anything, man. It's just they haven't matured at all. You know, there's no growth, and I understand why, because they haven't left the fucking 4-block radius. Like I get it, you know.
Yeah,
but
no, it's true.
You have
to do that.
I'd live somewhere else, so I don't.
You have to do that, though, and you know, look, you got to do that. Like we correspond with people. We're lucky enough that we get to correspond with people from the Midwest, the West Coast, from fucking Britain, from fucking Scotland, from fucking Ireland. You know, we get to talk to people from from Cali or whatever. But I feel like there's a universal truth, and one of these universal truths, whether you're right now 30 or 22 or 49 or whatever, you can't just make this immediate environment that you're in and try to bring all these elements in and change that environment. The environment you're in always wins, right? So if you're like a straight edge guy and you're noticing everybody you went to high school with and now you're 30 is hooked on fucking, hillbilly heroin and shit. And you're like, well, I'm going to keep hanging out with them because, I'll be a good influence. It's like, nah, dude, like, the environment always wins. You got to get out of the environment. You got to, like Shah's like some of the first times I met Shah was I think we met at a Comic-Con, but we knew each other. We were going to meet like for the first time at a Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'd known you for a few years.
Yeah, he was coming all the way from Philly. And then like, he's like, I think I saw him, he was at his first con like 5 or 6 years ago. And it's just like, and like B Show has traveled for like Ring of Honor shows. My brother Mike has traveled for horror cons and stuff like that. And it's like, can you imagine if you said, you know what, I really want to go and do this thing that I like, but man, it's far. It's going to take me like 3 hours. I'm not going to do that. No, none of you are like that. You all would be like, fuck it. I want to do this thing as much as I'm sure you don't love sitting in traffic for 4 hours, but you're like, well, shit, I want to go do this thing that's far away. You got to be willing to get the fuck out of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. You never would have met any of these people. You got
to step out of your comfort zone, man. I mean, that's literally why I started doing podcasts, was because I had public speaking issues. I was like, I just got to just like throw myself out there and just expose myself, and then I'll just get over it. And now it's fine. Like, I can talk to anybody. I don't give a shit. Like, if you put
now you expose yourself every weekend. You expose yourself like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like another thing is, I started the new podcast, Planet Mondo, and I had a guest on, one of the people that I kind of grew up with. I've known him for like 15 years, and he used to live with me. And I have to go and fucking edit like 10 minutes out of this episode. And this is what I mean by I can't hang out with people that I used to, because we're on different levels. There's nothing that we can talk about. So. Yes. And this guy, I have fucking matching tattoos with him because I was in the same group with him. You know what I mean? I haven't talked to this guy for 10 years. So he brought up, his name, and I'm obviously not going to say the name.
Of course.
And he was asking me about, what he's been up to and this, that, and a third. And I'm like, he's been on the run for the last 8 years. Now I got to edit this podcast because you just said, all this information.
Oh, wow, dude.
I got to edit this whole shit out. Yeah. And I'm like, I have nothing in common. We can't talk. Like we have matching tattoos. I have matching tattoos with 8 different people. None of us talk. I mean, they maybe they do. I don't talk to them. There's nothing to talk about. I don't want to hear about jail stories. I don't want to hear about. I can't relate to that. I don't live that life. You know what I mean?
Right. Maybe you should try to do a thing where you just do a podcast with everybody with the tattoo. That's kind of fun.
That's actually kind of what I'm doing. I'm getting people from my past.
That's what you're doing.
It's kind of what I'm doing. I'm getting people from my past. I mean, some of them, unfortunately, are obviously dead. Some are doing a lot of years in prison. So, so I can't get every single person, but certain people that,
Well, the dead ones might be hard to get.
They're hard to get.
Very difficult. You got to get a medium. It's a whole thing. You don't know if they're contacted or there are other people in the room. You don't know if it's one of these Long Island medium situations.
That's true.
But, it's interesting, Mike. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you're getting past the COVID. Full disclosure, I probably have it. We didn't have a test. My wife was like, look, I think you got it. My wife's seen enough COVID, probably to last a lifetime.
But I'm feeling better. Or no? You got it.
Yeah, I had a little bit the other day, but also I'm a fairly active person. I never was going to, even like sick for me was like, I'm not trying to, trust me. I'm not on the cover of Middle Age Muscle and Fitness, but the fact that I still ran 11 miles every day tells me I might not have had COVID, but if I did, maybe I'm taking pretty good care of myself, because this is the best I felt all week. My voice is a little shot, but B-Show, Sean, Mike, it's the end of the year. 2021 is over. People want to hear about the year. Now, Mike, you and I talk every day. Last year around this time, you'll recall, there was probably an air of caution, maybe some optimism, but not from me. I was one of these people that was basically saying, whether it was on the air or personally, and B-Show and Shah will tell you, I thought the year was going to be rough. I thought it was going to be a rough year. I thought we were going to probably have a lot more rioting. I thought we were going to have a lot more burning. I thought we were going to have a lot more like store closures, maybe 1 million extra homeless people. Now, obviously, none of those things happened. But that being said, wasn't necessarily that much better of a year without it. So Mike, I want to get your take first. Mike, 2021. Obviously, you went through some stuff this year yourself, personal things, but 2021 as a whole, compared to 2020, where do you think you'd put this year in terms of your expectations? In terms of, I'm talking about your personal expectations, your goals. Are you disappointed? Are you more concerned? Or do you see the light at the end of the Corona tunnel? Let you get out there first. You're the guest.
All right. Right off the bat, 2021 was worse than 2020 for me personally. I think maybe not for the world at large, it wasn't worse. There, like you said, there was no major race riots. you know, less murder in the streets, so to speak, and things of that nature. But more people did die of COVID.
More people did die in general.
Yes, more people died.
More people did die in general.
And on
but
personal,
your take. So you think
level,
so for you personally, yeah, on a personal.
Shitty. It was a shitty year. Very shitty.
Shitty year.
I lost 2 relationships, not one, 2 relationships in 2021. Okay. I lost my job at the end of 2020.
Yes.
The only 2 good things, maybe 3 good things happened the entire year for me. Number 1, I got a new job at my old company. Went, back to my old company, which is fine, which is great. Number 2,
sprockets.
Right. Number 2, I moved into a better place, better apartment, better neighborhood. That's
there you
number
go.
2.
These are 2 huge highlights.
And my band, The Last Stand, put out a new release. Other than that, this was a terrible year.
Terrible year.
But
okay.
I think it was a terrible year. Yes, terrible.
Was it worse than you expected? Yes or no?
Worse than I expected. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a great year. I thought it would have been a better year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get the pride of the Midwest. B Show Brian, your thoughts, same thing, going into 2021. Expectations?
I didn't think it was going to be as bad, and this is kind of different too because you and I talk about this every week. I wasn't as doom and gloom as you were. I don't think for me personally it was any different than I expected as far as good or bad. It's just completely different. And the way I'll describe that is if you saw the Twin Peaks revival season 3,
Mike did. I did not.
You wait to get Laura Palmer back. You wait to get Cooper back, and then they finally come back, but then they're in a completely different universe. That's how I fucking feel. That's how I feel. So for me, not necessarily better or worse, just different.
Different.
That Twin Peaks analogy is interesting because we got what we wanted, but not really exactly how we wanted it.
So it's like real life then. You mean like everything in life, pretty much?
Yes.
B Show, going into 2022, optimism, pessimism, where are we?
I don't even know what to think anymore, to be honest with you, because what do you say after 2021? I mean, we thought the COVID
wasn't 2020.
Exactly. I have a feeling that meme, 2022 is 2022 or also.
Part 2, yeah. This is still 2020. We're still.
I think that's where we're headed. I don't necessarily think COVID is going to be as bad, but I think the fallout, the restrictions, the continuing pandemic and tire of that, like people just being exhausted with it, I think that's going to continue and get worse. I think as the virus they're saying it's getting more contagious, but it's less severe. I think people are going to start saying, well, fuck it. Then why are we doing masking? Why are we having I think that part of it's going to get worse while the virus may be tapering down. I'm worried about another one. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm worried about another pandemic coming around because obviously with the lack of tests, we're not equipped for it. So, and again, the Twin Peaks thing, I think mentally, I think a lot of things should be better next year, but I don't think they will be. So
was the year better or worse than you anticipated?
For the most part, better than I anticipated. I think so. 2021 for me personally, anyway.
Right.
I had a lot of other personal and professional stuff going on. It's hard to complain about when I have friends that haven't been able to find work in 18 months. So I try to kind of keep hush about it. I try to take it in stride. But it was a monumental undertaking. It's a lot of weight on my shoulders. And now it's like, I thought I was at the end of this and crossing the finish line and starting a new chapter, but I'm going to be like cleaning shit up for another 6 months. That's going to add to my workload, which is not going to be good. So that's what I meant by like, I got what I wanted, but be careful what you wish for.
Now, highlights. What's your highlight? You have a highlight with your big burly cup there. That's a big cuppy. Even your cups are big. What is
a lot of water? Everything's big. I need to get the big deodorant made.
Jesus.
You know what? I got someone who does 3D printing. I should have him 3D print us Break the Apocalypse
big deodorant. Call it Burley. Call it Burley. That's the brand. Burley. I have a picture of you like holding it up like with the 2 hands because it's so big.
Like the fucking brawny paper towel giant.
Yeah, Burley.
Yeah.
Just call it Burley. Burley. You need be like the deodorant that you need help putting on. What was your highlights?
My highlights, I honestly, one of them was just the continued support from the podcast. That's first and foremost.
Well, amen to
Because
that.
I mean, obviously, I've done other podcasts before to varying degrees of success. Some no one was listening. Some people started listening and then just dropped off out of nowhere into a black hole, and it was really depressing. But the fact that people stuck with us and continue to stick with us is just amazing, and it's humbling. And I want to thank everyone for that who's listening. Another highlight for me was, as I mentioned professionally, I took over a practice, one that I wasn't sure I could handle, and all of the feedback I'm getting has been positive, and it was like a level up checkpoint. When you finally, you don't feel confident and you don't know if you can do something, then finally you start doing it, and it's like, motherfucker, I got this.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that's been a highlight for me this year, and it's really helped me with a lot of other things. I don't know. Any other highlights would be extraneous things like movies, or like, I know you guys didn't really like Halloween Kills that much, but I tell you what, I come over the first 15
Mike liked
minutes.
it. We'll talk about that. Mike liked it.
I
I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for you to say your Burmese mountain dog that you got.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's my
That's
dude.
adorable. That dog's fucking
Oh,
adorable.
He's so
Like that-
cute.
My God, that dog's amazing.
Well, but
But,
to get him, my other dog had to die that I had for 12 years.
That's life though.
yeah.
Like, you had to suffer something terrible to get something good. Like, nobody gives you good shit. B, you don't get good shit just for existing. Come on,
yeah.
are you crazy?
Yeah.
Speaking of not getting good shit, Shah, 2020 going into 2021, you were pessimistic, you were optimistic. Where were you?
I was definitely a little more optimistic than I probably should have been. I don't know, man. I mean, going into 2020 was a fucking car wreck. I mean, everything went wrong. And towards the end, we figured 2021 is going to be somewhat normal, which it was. But personally, in my normal life, it wasn't normal at all. But I mean, generally speaking, I think it was a better year than 2020 for everybody else. Yeah.
Right. Well, but
for me, it was a piece of shit, though.
Yeah. So was it worse than you anticipated going in like a year from now? Standing on the beach a year ago today and standing on the same beach, were you like, fuck, this year was so much worse than I anticipated?
I think I kind of came out neutral, man. I think it kind of balanced it out for me because obviously, I talked about it on the show. I don't want to get into it again, but I had a 6-year relationship end out of nowhere. That kind of threw me off, but there's also a lot of positives that came from that. So it kind of balanced itself out. Like, I'm not leaving 2021 like pissed off or with like regrets. I'm perfectly fine with it. You know what I mean? So I'm actually kind of excited about it. Like, I don't view it as a bad.
So you're optimistic going into 2022.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, definitely. I already know it's going to be a good year for me personally. I can't tell for the world. I mean, it's probably going to be set on fire, like California, but like for me personally, it's probably going to be dope. I don't know.
Well, Shaheen, we do have single Shaheen selfies now.
We do, yeah.
I'm enjoying those.
Dude, you and Mike need to do a wonder team, like a super team up.
We could because
I like the Wonder Twins.
I like it. I could see some good stories coming out of that. I could see a good Patreon episode coming out of it.
Single Mike selfies are on the way.
Single Mike and the Persian Coxman.
Dude, can I give a tip? Can I give a tip to everybody that's single out there?
Dude, you're the modern day Larry Dallas from Three's Company. Go.
This works, man. I'm just figuring out social media now at 34, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this age, like, everybody's got Snapchats and shit. Like, I don't understand Snapchat. Like, apparently your stories or whatever you send disappears within 24 hours a day. So it's like kind of secretive. Like, nobody really knows,
Yeah.
So
you're not a teenager either. So
right. So I don't understand any of this shit, right? I don't understand TikTok. I don't get any of this. But I know on Instagram and Facebook, what I found to work is putting stories up instead of like, no one's going to like your posts and shit. No one gives a fuck. It leaves evidence behind. You know what I mean? Like, other people get to see what you liked. So putting posts up is fucking pointless. Plus the algorithm, nobody sees your shit. It's pointless. When you put stories up on like Instagram, you might get a couple hundred hits, you know what I mean? And then people feel comfortable reacting to that because nobody else sees that. So it comes to your direct message.
So you're saying do the teenage girl thing.
Yes. You have to kind of adapt to the time.
Regardless of who you are. If you're a 55-year-old that's not allowed within a school district, still do it. But if you're a Cub Scout leader,
I have a piece of advice as well. advice.
Oh, boy, here we go. Wow. Single man giving advice.
There you go.
It comes by way of Jordan Peterson, though, but it's very good advice about men being single or men who might be a little angry that they're single or that are constantly on the hunt.
Incel alert.
Okay, yeah. If you're not attracting any women at all, okay, say you're constantly swinging and missing, you're not attracting any women at all, no women are attracted to you, no women are talking to you, it is your fault.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what? As silly as that
It is
sounds,
100%
pretty smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
your
That's pretty
fault.
fucking amazing. It is your fault. And Mike, I'm
and
gonna
it's
tell you right
on
now.
you. You're the problem, not the women.
Yeah, but
That's my advice.
the incel take on that is it's their fault. Let's kill them and shoot up this diner. The reality is, and I've always felt this way, and my brother Mike knows quite a bit about my personal life. I have never been what you would call a lonely guy, but I've also never been a great looking guy. I've never been a super successful guy. I've also never been, born into a wealth and exuberant lifestyle guy. But I talk a lot, okay, but I also listen a little bit too, and I could tell you, closed mouths don't get fed. You gotta talk to people.
Yeah.
Gotta talk. And I'm not saying just go Sicilian shit.
But be
I mean, you
interesting.
gotta be able to talk. Be interesting. Know interesting things.
Yeah.
Like speak to people. Talk to them.
You know what else?
Care about your appearance. Care about your appearance.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
my God. I mean, look at the money I spent on clothes. Seriously, it's shameful, actually. Like,
Dude,
No, but still, like that's something that Peterson also reinforces.
yeah, clean up your shit. Clean up your shit.
Your fucking
But I
beard,
really
all
like
that,
when he
dude.
said that. He said, it is your fault. He just said that. It's your fault.
Yeah, but like I look, and again, there are people that are born with great looks, did nothing to get them, good genes where they physically look good all the time. Maybe don't even have to work out at all. Maybe don't never work out. Just like, yeah, I just watch what I eat a little bit, but I'm just always had good genes, stuff like that, great metabolism. Look at my great hair, look at my great skin, look at my great nails, look at my great size. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm telling you, you got to be able to talk to people, speak to people.
Yeah, you gotta find your
make eye
strengths,
contact with a motherfucker. Make eye contact with them, not in a creepy fucking serial killer way, but in like I'm paying attention to your shit. You know what I mean? I'm not saying just randomly go over to women in the park and be like, hey, can I feel your boobs? No, I'm talking about just being able to have a real normal social interaction with a person.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings up another point too. My wife and I went out for a date night the other night.
I saw.
Oh, it was nice. And
She seemed like
dude
she was having a good time.
oh yeah, man, the fucking sake flight and
Yeah,
everything.
she was having fun.
So there's a guy sitting next to us and he's texting on his phone and like big dude, like bigger than me, muscular. You could tell he's in shape. My wife was eyeing him up, it's like, okay. So she was not just having fun with dinner. She liked the tourist attractions as
Is this
well.
becoming one of those Dear Penthouse Forum stories?
No, but he's waiting on this girl. Okay looking, not the greatest looking, but had like an exotic look. And this dude, like, you could tell he wanted her really bad. She comes in after making him wait like 40 minutes,
Jesus.
sets her shit down, and he goes to talk to her. She goes, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And makes this motherfucker wait. I look at my wife. I was like, motherfucker. So we were laughing at this couple the whole time because after all that happens, and I'll get to the point, but after making him wait, after going to the bathroom and not even talking to him when she first gets there, he's talking to her. One of the first things he says is, oh, your earrings look so amazing. I looked at my wife and I was like,
Oh, God.
So
Dude, just on that, but him saying that alone, that secured her blowing somebody the next day.
Oh yeah, 100%. So that's what I was going to say is
gobble just to get back at him for that one.
right. And I've been guilty of this too. I think we all have at some point because you have to gain confidence.
You get nervous.
But if you're out there and you're listening, here's a guy who looks like he's got his shit together. He looked professional.
Can't talk.
He looks like he puts a lot of time and effort into his own appearance and was able to snag a date with this girl. Not a 10, but probably a Toledo 6. And
wow, Toledo 6. That's like a New York 3. Go ahead.
So it was a girl he wanted, but he wanted her too much. And I think that's a big thing that I had to learn, and it took a long time to learn, is a lot of listening to Patrice O'Neill as well. He has a lot of advice on dating. Is like, you cannot put women on that high of a pedestal. I mean, you can treat them good. You can
put anybody on that high pedestal.
exactly. You're always going to be disappointed. You're going to disappoint
Want them
yourself.
less.
It's not a
Want them
woman.
less. Yeah.
Exactly. So he was way too desperate. So it's not just you. If you feel like, if you feel like you're not good looking, or if you're born under a bad sign, or you got bad genetics, there's good looking, fucking great looking catches out there who can't figure this shit out. Just have some confidence. Like take a breath. Let a moment breathe for a second before rushing to compliment someone on their earrings.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's a weird thing for a guy to do. I'm sorry. I don't even know if my wife has earrings. Does she have? I don't know. Does she have ears? I don't even know.
I was gonna say, I don't even know if my wife has ears.
Does your wife have pierced ears or not? Would you know? I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
I do, because she's Latina and she wears the hoopy earrings, and I
Does she?
that, but yeah.
Dude, also people feel your energy. If you're not comfortable with yourself, like that's not attract. Like women pick up on that online. You know what I mean? Like if you're awkward, like you got to get comfortable with yourself. So like another thing that I think benefits me, and I don't do it on purpose, but I notice it helps me a lot. You know what I mean? And again, I'm very thankful because I have options. I'm not like a fucking weirdo that like can't talk to people, Like for me, being an artist, like a lot of women like creativity. They like creative people. I like animals.
Well, it's an interesting aspect of your personality, dude.
Right.
Like,
it adds layers to talk about. You know what I mean? Like I'm into astrology, into spirituality. Like a lot of women love that type of shit. I like animals. I post a lot of animal pictures. They feel comfortable liking that. You know what I mean? Like if you're one of these dudes that's posting like fucking like beer all day and like it's shit's boring. Like nobody can.
Having a lot going on is good. Having a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, it also means that you're not going to obsess over the person.
Like music and podcasts.
It means I'm not going to become your thing because you have all these other things. So if you're squeezing me in, I must be important because you have all these other fucking things that you're doing.
Yeah. Dude, no matter how good a catch you are, fucking get in line, because Tuesday I'm doing this and Thursday I'm doing this. Yeah.
Or you just show what you can offer. Like me, I post a lot of cooking because I can cook. That means something to a lot of people. Wow. You know what I mean? You gotta be like, you gotta play games back, man. Women play games. You gotta like, you gotta read in between the lines.
Yeah.
And another thing that I do now, dude, is like I started talking to a lot of different people, and if I don't vibe with them after like one date, like I will still befriend them and keep them around because I want to pick their brain. Like I want to have as many.
Also, it's a vag in a glass jar. You don't know. You got to break the jar.
Even if I'm not into it, you know what I mean?
You're putting the vag on layaway. You're just being like, hey, listen, I might need that one day. It's
to pick their brain.
A fire extinguisher. You don't know if you're ever going to need it, but it's nice to have.
John Shaheen is picking their brain. Come on.
No, seriously, because you know what? Like the one told me, like this blew my fucking mind, right? This just shows you how much ego.
Single Shaheen is amazing.
Blew my fucking mind, dude. She told me she's on Tinder, right? And she said she hasn't talked to a single person on Tinder. She'll just like swipe right or whatever, just so that she can see how many dudes are into her, because it boosts her ego the more people try to get at her. You know what I mean? So it's just like she goes on there daily just to see, I had this many people attempt. But I won't talk to a single one of them. I won't even read their fucking message. But it's just so I feel better about myself. You know what I mean? Nice. And I'm going to have her on the show, and she wants to talk about it. I'm like, I want you to expose this.
This doesn't sound difficult at all.
I've never been on. Look, I'm 50-year-old guy. I'm married. I got teenagers. I'm raising. I got COVID. I got COVID on every floor of this house. I just started working after 15 fucking months of not having a job. So I'll spare you my year, because I pretty much talk about my year every week. But, it's good to have like diversity of thought. It's also good to have diversity of personality. The whole world is so cliquey right now and so splintered, and everyone's like in these bubbles and stuff like that. And to me, it's just so uninteresting. Like I've never wanted to be around everybody who just likes one thing. And people like myself and my brother in particular, we've never been those people anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just like we have death metal friends and hardcore friends and fucking rap friends and comic book friends and fucking, friends that we grew up with that we still keep contact with, but we have nothing in common with, but we still know them. And it's like, you want to have this diversity of thought. You want to branch out as a person. You know what I mean? But and I recognize how difficult that is for a lot of people because people are shy, but also COVID. Look, I got to be honest with you, man. If I was a 25-year-old guy or a 25-year-old girl who was not in serious relationships trying to meet people, I don't know what the fuck people are doing. I really don't know how to get around that, but I don't know that that's really forever. People are still going to Tinder. People are still going to Match. People are still going to farmfucker.com or pigfucker.com, and people are still doing that shit. People are still doing it, right? I don't think it's going to change that much. I don't really know. There's still New Year's Eve parties probably going on right now. Shaheen's the only one probably at one. but there's still stuff. There's people still having fucking dances and all this other fucking
I'm
shit.
going.
Sock hops, whatever the fuck you kids do. I don't know what the fuck you do. You take a bunch of meth and then fucking hit each other with cars. I don't know what the fuck you people do. But I'm just saying, this is the end of a year is supposed to be signal some optimism, some changes, personal changes.
Mhm.
And I think we don't make the promise of a change, but we don't actually follow through with the promise of a change. Do you guys have any individual promises that you made to yourself that go, look, no matter what happens with this COVID, or what happens with the fucking economy, or what happens with fucking China, or whatever the fuck, I'm going to do this no matter what. I don't give a fuck. Do you guys have any of you thought to yourself, as literally people listening to this right now on New Year's Eve or possibly New Year's Day, did you go, what am I going to do in 2022 that nothing is going to stop me this time? Like, no matter what that is. It does. I don't. Is there a small goal, a big goal? Mike from the Necromaniacs Podcast, what have you decided that's going to happen in 2022 that didn't happen in 2021 for you?
Well, there's a couple of things.